dry climate, desert, a place where nothing can grow and water doesn't exist. In the 1930s, FDR had this program, Farm Security Administration. The photographers working for the FSA went out to the American West to take photographs, show the United States that things are, not going so well. These photographs were used to promote FDR's social programs, kind of show what was really happening in the West with the Dust Bowl. The photographs really try to capture the hardships faced by the people. You probably have seen a lot of them. You might be most familiar with Dorothea Lange's migrant mother. One can show the same object or event in a completely different way simply by positioning the camera differently. This can mean selectively showing part of the information while withholding another part of the information away from the viewer. Oh, wow, how nice. That soldier's giving this guy water. Water's life, you know. It's so great. Wait a minute.
Oh my God!
Arthur Rothstein is a photographer for the FSA. He really captured the hardships faced by the people at the time with one photograph. The framing of the image is very important, you see. In this one, you could only see the dust and the skull. You kind of see more of an area in this photograph. Arthur Rothstein took this photograph, and then, kind of to make it a more powerful photograph, he decided to move the cow skull about 10 feet. This caused a controversy, an uproar, if you will, all because he moved the subject. The FSA was supposed to be, capturing the truth, the veracity of the image. Moving the cow skull apparently changes the meaning quite significantly and affects how people perceive the image. It is no longer documenting what really happened there. It is a representation of what happened there. So is this photograph. Either way, it looks like overgrazed land with a cow skull. It was only moved about 10 feet, but created more than 10 feet of controversy. But what is more is you can move the pixels in an image. You can manipulate the way the image looks in post. Beyonce had her photo taken on a staircase, and it looks like she was covering up some sort of defect on the staircase. If you see the line doesn't match up, it's not a straight line. Are the stairs broken? Or that photo was photoshopped. This caused a controversy. A lot of people were upset. They were like, Beyonce photoshopped her photos on Instagram? That's unethical. Don't be surprised. Why are you surprised that it's photoshopped? Of course it's photoshopped. People have been mistrusting images for generations, and for good reason. Some people like to say pics or didn't happen. We need photographic proof, photographic evidence. That's the only way to know the truth, right? Well, let's look at an example. There's a photograph of Stalin and his boys just taking a stroll on the Moscow Canal. Look at how much fun it looks like they're having. Years after this photo was taken, Joseph Stalin and Nikolai Yezhov had a falling out. He thought, well, I don't want anyone to think that I was hanging out with this guy. So he asked his friends in the propaganda department to just Photoshop him out. And there you have it. Pics therefore didn't happen. What you may think is real on a photograph doesn't necessarily mean it's the real thing that happened in real life. Images can be so easily manipulated, and you're often lied to when you look at images. Just look at magazines, for example. Add some saturation here, raise the highlights here. It's so much better looking, right? It's such a commonplace practice. We take it for granted, and we don't realize that it happens. Every magazine cover you've seen in the last, several years is definitely Photoshop. Look at this photograph of Lady Gaga. She's in a magazine cover, and it's Photoshopped. You see, the Photoshopped image makes her look less tired, the colors are different, and her skin, it's so smooth. It barely has any pores. It looks like it has no pores. That's not what humans look like. What you can do with Photoshop is literally redesign the image. You can use Photoshop as a painting tool. You can just change and paint over completely. It doesn't have to have any resemblance to the previous image that it started from. You can even start drawing things from scratch. The media can really spin things in certain ways. Sometimes you don't get to see the whole picture. You can only see part of it. Back in the day, in 1960, first presidential debate to be ever broadcasted on live television was between Richard Nixon and John F. Kennedy. It was still kind of a new phenomenon. Presidential debates have not been broadcasted like that in the past. Kennedy, being a younger, better-looking, more confident candidate, he did a really good job on TV. He clearly won the debate. Except for the listeners at home, who have been more used to listening to debates on the radio, they thought that Nixon definitely had stronger points, and it really kind of showed the discrepancy between how you perceive information depending on the medium that it's presented in. Since the 60s, we've created more means of mass communicating with each other. The online, the web, social media. Just like TV and radio, it has the ability to radically change our perception of real-life events. Therefore, it's generally a good idea to know how it can do so.
To a lot of people, I made it. I had 500,000 people interested in me on social media. I want to tell you that having it all on social media means absolutely nothing to your real life. Everything I was doing was edited and contrived and to get more value. Companies will email you with dot points of what you should say, with times of the day to post. Social media is now a business. If you don't think it's a business, you're deluding yourself. When you let yourself be defined by numbers, you let yourself be defined by something that is not real.
Online, on social media, we tend to post the better parts of our experiences. We present an idealized version of ourselves. It skews our perception. The first Democratic debate in 2015, online polls showed Bernie Sanders had won the debate. According to CNN's analysis, Hillary Clinton was a clear winner of the debate. She carried herself very strongly, very powerfully, and she did the best job. It's important to note that CNN is part of a larger corporation that donates to Hillary Clinton. So it is in their best interest to promote Hillary Clinton and keep the narrative alive. You know, you can point a camera in one way and see one image. You can point a camera in a different direction and see something else. Just like framing, just like cropping, just like moving pixels around, what you see, you shouldn't take just for granted. You should think about it. Don't be sheep. In 1895, one of the first documentary films ever to be made was a 50-second film of a train arriving at a station. People flipped their shit. Rumor has it, people freaked out. People were so surprised. People thought the train was gonna hit them. So they flipped their shit. They were not used to this. In the 21st century, you would not be surprised by this. When people were new to the photographic and cinematographic images, it was more understandable. You've grown up with this. You have seen this in action. Don't be surprised.